Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going over money hacks. I figured I would go through some of my favorite books on personal finance and give you guys some of the most practical, actionable advice I learned from these books. Now, let's get into it. Number one hack, and this one comes straight from Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. If you have not read this book, I suggest you pick up a copy. A lot of people give this book a bad rap, but I think it is a great starting point for personal finance. In the book, Robert tells the story of his rich dad and his poor dad. His poor dad was actually his real dad, and his rich dad was the dad of his best friend. The way that Robert tells the story, the poor dad had a really good job working for the government. He was an educated man, he had a pension, he had insurance benefits. He did all the right things, and yet he struggled financially his whole life and passed away owing a lot of debt. The rich dad, on the other hand, finished high school, went to work for the military, and then got out and started a business. Even though the poor dad went to college and the rich dad didn't, the rich dad ended up with a lot more wealth. Why? Because he understood this next money hack. And the biggest difference between these two dads was that the rich dad understood that it's not how much money you make that matters, it's how much money you keep. The rich dad always lived well below his means and saved a portion of everything he made. He reinvested that money into his business and eventually grew that business to be worth millions of dollars. On the flip side, the poor dad spent every paycheck as soon as he got it. Number 2 comes from I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. Now, I love this book because it's very straightforward and practical. If you're someone who feels like you have zero knowledge of personal finance, this is a great place to start. I remember reading this book 5 years ago when I first started learning about personal finance and investing, and I was like, wow, this guy just laid it all out. It's so simple. I can do this. When I read a lot of finance books, they tell me things I already know, or they're already trying to sell me some sort of course or membership, which is totally fine. That's what they're trying to do. But sometimes it's nice to find a book that's just straightforward and honest. In Chapter 1 of the book, Ramit goes through what he calls a 6-step process to master your money. One of those steps is figuring out what you owe and why you owe it. He teaches you how to negotiate with credit card companies to lower your interest rates and pay off your debt faster. It can be scary to look at your debt, but if you don't take control of your debt is just going to continue to grow and snowball out of control. Money hack number 3 comes from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is probably the most popular book on the list, but it's also the oldest. It was written in 1937. The reason that this book has stood the test of time is because it contains timeless principles. Napoleon interviewed hundreds of millionaires during the early 1900s and found that they all followed a very similar path to success. They had a clear goal in mind, they took massive action towards their goals, and they never gave up. In the book, Napoleon outlines 6 steps to achieve any goal. Number 1, clearly define your goal. Number 2, figure out what's standing between you and your goal. Number 3, develop a plan to overcome your obstacles. Number 4, take action. Number 5, review your progress. And number 6, adjust your plan and take more action. Money doesn't just grow on trees. You need to put in the work. The biggest thing holding you back is usually yourself. It's your own thoughts, your beliefs, and your mindset. Napoleon believed that everyone could become wealthy if they followed the steps outlined in the book. He said that the only thing that separates the rich from the poor is the way that they think. Number 4 comes from the Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. Robert's second book on this list. This book is kind of a follow-up to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but it gets into a little bit more detail. In this book, Robert uses a cash flow quadrant to illustrate how to achieve financial freedom. In the book, he talks about for different types of people: employees, self-employed, entrepreneurs, and investors. Employees are people who exchange their time for money. They work for someone else. Self-employed people also exchange their time for money. Usually, they have more control over how they do their work, but they still exchange time for money. Entrepreneurs and investors, on the other hand, don't exchange time for money. They have built systems and processes that bring in money without them having to actively participate, as you can see. Employees and self-employed people fall into what Robert calls the left quadrant. The E-zone. Entrepreneurs and investors fall into what he calls the right quadrant, the I-zone. Most people want to become entrepreneurs because they want more control over their time and money. But in reality, it's really hard to become a successful entrepreneur. Not everyone has what it takes to run a business. And what's even harder is becoming a successful investor. Investing requires a lot of discipline and patience. And it can take a long time before you start seeing any sort of return. So, what does this mean for you? Well, you might be thinking, I don't want to be an employee for the rest of my life. I want to be an entrepreneur or an investor. But you might want to consider becoming self-employed first. Being self-employed can give you a taste of what it's like to run your own business. It can help you develop the skills and knowledge you need to become a successful entrepreneur. It can also help you build up your investment capital. If you're making more money and you're spending less money, you'll have more money to invest. Number 5 comes from The 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss. This book is awesome. It's kind of old now. It was published in 2007, but the ideas are still relevant today. This book isn't about making more money. It's about making your money work for you so you can live a more flexible lifestyle. Timothy outlines a 6-step process to automate your income. Step 1. Choose a skill that can be automated, outsourced, or systematized. Step 2. Identify tasks you spend the most time on that are low impact. Step 3. Select a task from Step 2 and decide if it can be automated. Step 4. Automate the task. Step 5. Move on to the next task and repeat the process. Step 6. Continue to add new streams of income until you reach your desired income level. Well, there you have it. Those are my top 5 money hacks from 5 of my favorite finance books. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I've got another one for you. It's called 7 Books That Changed My Life. These are 7 books that I've read that have helped me grow both personally and professionally. Thanks for watching and see you later.